What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ham Radio Clubhouse. That was a good intro song. Shane,
that was great.
You might not be here tonight, but we appreciate it. That was good.
Shane, don't worry. Molson is you tonight. So the only difference is
I'm better looking.
I was going to say a black. I was going to say a black T-shirt.
I have more hair on the sides. That's all I got to say.
Shots fired.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, guys, I'm not going to take too long. We got some friends joining us tonight because we are down a couple of friends. I don't know if Joe Brett's going to be coming up later on, but Shane's not able to make it. Beer Snack is missed as always. But tonight we're going to be joined by Mike, November 2, Mike Alpha Kilo. We got Matt Heere from November 3, November Whiskey Victor. And we have Shane, or Scout 75, Kilo Delta 9, November Juliet. But before we bring those guys on the show, guys, how was your week? Let's start with you, Steve.
So I was in DC this weekend for Rolling to Remember.
Thank you, man.
Emotional as always.
Beautiful pictures, man. Very.
I've got a whole lot more coming. I've got video from the rides that I'm actually going to edit because I've got to get them together for the Blue Star Moms because they've invited me out to their convention in August. So I've actually posted some fundraising stuff. I'm trying to raise funds for them. We as a group, and when I say we, I'm talking about what we call the Dave Page group, which is the VIP escorts, raised $30,800 for Gold Star Moms this year. We handed them that in checks on Saturday.
Right. Wow.
So, yeah.
Excellent.
And then Dad and I actually made up the patches for the escorts, and we were selling them out in the parking lot. We gave them another $1,100 on Sunday.
Steve, how many years now have you been doing this?
10 years.
And it changed names, right?
It did. It was Rolling Thunder, and 3 years ago it changed to Rolling to Remember.
Why don't you tell there may be some people who don't know what this event is all about.
So Rolling to Remember is the carry-on of Rolling Thunder, which was the longest-running peaceful protest in American history, and it was for the POWs and MIAs from Vietnam that still have not come home. Yeah, there are still a ton of guys unaccounted for. AmVets took it over 3 years ago because Rolling Thunder said, it's getting too expensive, we want out, we're done, and they have added in the 22 a day suicide prevention for our military.
Awesome.
But, so bringing in the Gold Star Moms, which are those moms, and actually Gold Star wives as well, that have lost a child or a spouse that was active duty service, or Blue Star Moms that actually have a child currently serving. And then we also have TAPS, which is the Tragedy Assistance Program for survivors, that are considered our VIPs. And we go up, basically take an extra helmet and put them on the back of our bike. With the Blue Star and Gold Star Moms and wives, we are theirs for the weekend. Any place they want to go, they hop on the back of the bike and we go. So
I think that is a fantastic thing that you guys do every single year. You do it with your father. But I think that is very sweet, man. That's a sweet thing to do for the moms and the wives.
And
I think that's awesome. Can't say enough about that.
So I fired up my own Buy Me a Coffee link. Everything that comes in to that for the next 60 days, which is when convention is, I will donate 100% of that to the Blue Star Moms. So,
and awesome. Ham Radio Pen Pals with Paul, again, proud Navy dad for everybody who has family in the military, whether you're a veteran, whether you passed away during some type of service, or whether you're active duty, it doesn't make a difference. You know what we say? Two very, very important words. Thank you. Thank you. Very important words. So thank you.
So
awesome. Steve put his the Buy Me a Coffee. If you guys want to donate for that cause, feel free. It's right there in the chat. Izzo, what about you, buddy?
Some sad news today. A very close friend of the family passed away. I'll just say Jazz King. That's what, I'm just going to tell you, Jazz King. This gentleman was a big help to me for many years. This man could play a saxophone and a clarinet like you would make. He tamed those two instruments. He made those instruments play so sweet. He went to many jazz fests around the country for many years. We know where he is right now. He's in a better place now without no pain, just playing the music on. So tonight, in my little way, this cigar is dedicated to him. This is the Camacho. For those of you who have not tried this Camacho or thinking about it, this is from Davidoff. There's some Honduran and a Nicaraguan with an Ecuadorian binder. It's a little bit on the fuller side. If you like a nice little intensity cigar, try it. They do have other ones that are a little bit less. Find out what your palate likes. I had a very interesting weekend because those of you who know me, I have a crazy work schedule. 5 days on, 2 days off, always rotating. So when you get weekends, it's kind of sweet. This weekend just happened to be weekend, start of weekend, Saturday and Sunday off. Saturday, I played all day. My son Matthew helped me. We knocked down the Eskimo tent. You could see I'm not in the tent tonight. The tent has been washed out, dried out, packed away. We'll use that maybe for a special event for something if I have to. If not, it'll come out back in the fall to keep me warm again. Eskimo, thank you for putting together a fantastic product. Again, a nice cigar off to you guys for the Eskimos. I know Judy likes to play with Judy from POTA, likes to play with her Eskimo tent and others. But pulled out pulled out all the patio furniture, the umbrella. Yeah, we did all that kind of stuff. And the first thing I did, Molson, I pulled out that ICOM 705. And I sat there on Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening chasing POTA guys. POTA guys were awesome. The DX was awesome. Even the regular stateside worked some special events with just 10 watts QRP, had a ball. Went out on Sunday. I went out to one of our largest parks here in Connecticut. I think I did about 113, 111. I forget what it was. That log has been uploaded, so a couple people already have emailed me. That's not me, man. You can talk to people like this guy. No, I'm only kidding.
We'll blame Matt.
We'll blame Matt. But I really had fun. The park was not as packed as we thought. Band conditions were a little crazy at times, but man, once again, you got to have a little patience. So I sat on 40, man. Next thing I know, within 30 minutes, I think I had like 30, 40 stations already. Boom. And then I went over to 20, and then it was like, oh my God, a waterfall and great people, some friends. It's always nice to hear friends' voices. Some many shout outs for Ham Radio Clubhouse on 20 meters. So that's so we always appreciate it. And then Monday it was back to work. So and tonight we're in the clubhouse.
Yep. 112 on that long way. So
what's that?
I'm trying to read
12 and it's showing up on the website.
112. Okay, there you go. 112.
Nice.
I don't count, man. I don't count. I just have to go out and have fun. Molson, what'd you do?
So I'm in the process of
phone.
Yeah, well, that's what I was. Before I do, it's a bunch of you guys, always the regulars in the chat. Andy, pleasure to have you guys here. Mike, who's with us tonight. Aaron from North Country Ham. We got Abe. We got Plasma Storm. You guys, Ron, all you guys who are watching all the time. We thank you very much for your support. But I was just on Google Maps because I wanted to measure the distance. On Thursday night, I think it was, I went to, but before I left, I had to be in Ottawa for 6 p.m. I came home, got some stuff. I took my HT. First time I actually travel with my HT in my hand or in my car. Anyways,
holy cripes.
I go there. I had a job to do that evening, a couple of hours. At the end of the night, I'm outside talking with one of the guys. I put my phone on the windshield. I was showing him ham radio. I was showing him the HT. There was a local net, checked into the repeater. Anyways.
You were the ambassador.
Yeah. So exactly. I was being an ambassador, and I took one for the team because I got in my car. I drove a little bit through town. I just calculated it. I went through town, went to a drive-thru at Tim Hortons, got a coffee, drove, and I got onto the 417, the highway 417. If you know what I see Joseph GKT is here. He knows what I'm talking about. Anyways, 2.3 miles later, I'm merging onto the highway, and all of a sudden I see this black thing fly by my window after it kind of clips my mirror. Doesn't damage anything. And I look through my rearview mirror, and I see my phone landing in the highway.
It's funny, but not funny.
Let me tell you, those things, that phone, if they wouldn't fix it properly, it kind of flies like a helicopter, you know,
projectile.
like those.
It's a
what are those
projectile.
helicopter? Yeah. Anyways,
A drone.
so immediately I hit the brakes and I pull over, and I was like, by that time, I'm like, I've gone too far. I'm not going to run down the highway like a madman, right?
Oh, yes, you will.
Well, I went to the next exit. I was like, hopefully it landed in the lane, because it didn't land into the emergency lane. It landed into the middle lane. Anyway, so I'm like, hopefully it's off to the side and no one drives over it, but there's a lot of cars. So I get to the next exit, turn around, go back over the overpass, re-merge, and I slow down and I pull over to the corner, and I see my cell phone in the middle lane of the highway. So I get out, four ways on, and it's like was busy, and all of a sudden there's like an opening. Nothing, but I'm in a curve.
You're gonna play squirrel. You're gonna play squirrel.
So I ran into the highway. I didn't run, I walked, but I go to the highway, I pick it up, and it's just my cell phone cover. And Steve, can you go to the Discord? I have a picture of it when I got home that night. I think it's in the general, but anyway, so I can't actually.
Jody says Molson Frogger. That's exactly what you were. You were Frogger.
Dude, so then I'm standing in the middle of the highway. I pick up the cell phone cover. I'm like, shit, where's my phone? And I'm looking around, and I see it like further down the highway in the fast lane. Okay, now we're in a curve. Those high phone 4s are hard to replace. It was a Samsung, buddy.
Yes, Abe is right.
Anyways, so I go get it. Obviously, by this time, it's completely smashed. The screen's gone. Run out. The story explains why Daniel didn't answer when I called him. Exactly.
Very good.
Anyways, I get it. But, like, when I first saw it go out by my window, I was like, do I stop and pick it up, or do I keep going? Because either way, I know I'm going to have to replace it. There you go. That's after I flattened it out. Okay. So I flattened it out. Anyway, so I was in my car. I was like, do I go back and get it, or do I keep going? And so part of me was like, some guy is going to see a cell phone on the highway, pull over, pick it up, and hook it up, right? So I was like, even if I can't get information off
break it and call everybody.
At least I can get my phone, like, I'm in control of it. So anyways, I get home, and it's all torn apart. In the back, I see the ribbon out from the motherboard. So I reconnect it, but there's some terminals that are no good. And there's no screen. And I push a button, like, it's not even the button. I get the phone to boot. It vibrates. So I was like, ooh. So then I hook up.
Very promising, isn't it?
It is promising. So I hook up the USB, and then all of a sudden it says device not recognized. But I knew I was able to get it fired up, and the motherboard was in. Everything else was, the battery was poked and all broken. But
all right, quickly. Wait, hold on. Did you use power poles? Because if you didn't use power poles to interface anything, this story.
That's the problem.
You should have lied. You should have just lied to us too and said that you used power poles. Innocent power poles.
Anyway, so and I'm always too lazy to push that, like, back up your stuff, right? So right. I don't know if my stuff's backed up or not, right? So anyway, so on Friday, I take my phone to a local repair guy, and I tell him, I said, listen, I disconnected the battery in case you need it, but I said, I think it's salvageable. And he's like, well, I'm going to have to change the connector for the ribbon strip, but he says, I can get your stuff off of there. I said, how much? He goes, $150, $200. I said, okay, do it. I got 5,000 pictures on there. I got, text messages.
5,000 pictures on there.
And I got a bunch of YouTube videos that I recorded but didn't edit, just to tell you. Anyways, maybe I'll have to do a series called From the Vault. Anyways, so long story short, he says $150, $200, right? This is Friday. I say, go ahead, do it. It's fine. I need the stuff. So then I use my wife's, borrowed a phone from my wife. And remember on Discord, I sent you guys a message saying I won't be on Discord. I don't want to log into any of my accounts on this.
You were afraid.
Right.
You were afraid.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't want to. I was too lazy. Anyways, today I got my new cell phone. I log into my accounts, and all of a sudden Samsung says, do you want to restore the last time saved, which was the night before, 3 a.m., the morning of the day that I smashed my phone.
Oh.
So right now my phone's upstairs restoring 42,000 text messages. And but the 5,000 or whatever pictures are not there. I can't find it. But you know, the worst part is with Android is it wants me to log into Samsung backup or whatever. It wants me to log into Microsoft to back up pictures. So I can back up contacts and text messages in Samsung. To back up pictures and videos, I have to do it in Microsoft. And meanwhile, Google is asking me to back up my phone onto there. So that's the problem that always pisses me off. They're always asking me to log in, and I was just like, I couldn't be bothered. So luckily, I have some of it restored.
Yep.
And then
Arthur, thank you for the 6 months.
Yeah, anyways, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And don't leave your cell phone on the hood of your car. And meanwhile, you know what? You know what's the most valuable thing in there is I have a picture, a selfie of Ham Radio 2.0 on my phone. He took at Huntsville, or sorry, not Huntsville, Hamvention, because I left my phone behind the couch, and he picks it up, and he's like, let's take a picture. So he took pictures of himself.
Can you imagine if you had some questionable pictures or the smoking ape? Can you imagine if ape pictures got loose in Canada? And then somebody started using the phone, and they took that picture of ape. Next thing you know, it's a We Fans or a Just Fans or whatever the heck that stuff is. And next thing you know, someone's making a whole lot of money with the Daniel name and the ape face. That would be like incredible, you know.
Jody, hold on, I got to pull that up. Tons of pics of blizzards in compromising positions.
Yes. New name for Dairy Queen. But
listen,
right.
You know what? I have to tell you. So there's two things I was disappointed in. First of all, when I got within range of our repeater, local repeater, it's about 30-minute drive from my house. I keyed up the repeater on my FT5D, hoping to call my buddy Mel. Mel, if you're watching, I'm disappointed in you. Nobody answered on the repeater. And I was keying, I was opening that repeater, right? I was going to say, hey, Mel, can you call my wife and let her know that I'm unreachable? I'm on the
Ham
way.
radio saves the world. Saves the Canadian world. Yep.
Except for when the repeaters are dead.
Yeah. So I'm disappointed. Repeaters are dead.
Oh, that's a great story.
And
that's a great story.
146-520 is dead. And,
all right, and listen, for any of our friends out there who do memes, I want to see a meme in the next 24 hours of Molson doing Frogger. Those are your instructions.
I can see this.
Okay, but I want to bring our guests in, but I have to tell you something. About 10 minutes in the drive after I picked up my phone, I was second guessing myself because I will be honest with you, because I got like blinders on and I looked, there's no curve, but I'm in a curve. Like it's a curve. I can pull up the Google Street View of it. I'm in a curve. I see my cover. I pick it up. I look at it. Look down the highway. Nobody's coming. Run across to the seconds.
You're equating seconds to how fast can you move your butt. That's what you're doing. You're doing that Canadian equation stuff.
I was actually, when I got back in the car, when I got back in the car, I was like, did I verify? Well, did I really check that I was safe? And it took me about 10, 15 minutes to be like, you know what? It is what it is. Que sera, sera. If you got hit, God wanted you to go home. So, you know. But honestly.
Molson, this show tonight, this show could have had a whole different meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some very sad news. Molson was on the highway retrieving his phone that he accidentally left outside on the vehicle. And for 2 miles, the phone was on the outside of the vehicle like a cup of coffee that people leave in the morning. And and the tractor trailer or can you imagine if it was a Zamboni that took you out? Holy shit, or a herd of cows or something. The herd of cows got loose and they're down the highway and there you are, man, bullseye. Man, that'd be some sad shit.
This is where I was. I was like, I don't know, probably.
You could see.
I know, but you always second guess. Like my cover was like right here.
You will.
My cover was like right. Look, right here was my cover, and then the cell phone was like here.
I see the spot too.
Back
I see the spot on it. Listen, what would happen if what would happen all of a sudden you got a Charlie horse and you're all of a sudden now all that math that you just did, you did not equate for Charlie horse time, which now extends the algebra equation of you need to get your ass back to the safety of the side of the road. And I mean safety to the side of the road, not just somebody who's passing somebody in the lane and, next thing you know, they think you're a freaking moose or something. And next thing you know, whatever. Holy cripes, Molson.
Yeah. Anyways, listen, we're going to move on to the whole point of tonight's show. What is Brian says, Molson was tragically taken out by a rutting moose when he was looking for a wayward cell phone. Yep, that's pretty much it. Anyways, guys, so tonight we want to talk about many things, but POTA, the upcoming POTA event is one. So like I said, we have Shane, we got Matt here, and we got Mike coming on the show. And let's welcome them.
Bring him in. Open the door.
Mike, we got Matt, and we got Shane.
Gentlemen.
Okay. Hey, guys, look at them.
Who are you talking to?
One of these fools is not like the other. Look, Mike's got hair.
What a handsome, what a handsome
You
group.
don't want to end up roadkill in parts around here. You end up somebody's dinner.
Matt, am I serious? Am I right or wrong? He could have been roadkill or stuck to the grill. And what if he had blizzards in the caravan? And in the blizzard start melting, and everyone's wondering where's Dad.
I thought about that, and this is probably inappropriate laughter, but my parents and my dad is 85 years old at this point. We're in the car, and they got rear-ended. Nothing serious, but it was enough to make the airbags go off. And my dad was holding 2 Frosties from Wendy's at the time, so. My brother and I just had this image of the airbag blasting these Frosties into the back seat.
Duck and cover.
I could just see the first responders coming saying, yep, he shit himself.
He shit himself cherry vanilla.
Yeah, those Frosties will get you one way or the other, right? Get you one way or the other.
So, Mike, how you doing, Mike? Welcome to the show.
I am doing good. It's good to see you guys. It's been a while, like a week,
a whole week
since I saw you. Oh, and I did see Matt out there. So, no, I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. Recovering from Dayton. It was a great time out there. Got to do a lot of radio projects over the weekend. Play with some of the gear and everything that I purchased and whatnot. So it's all good.
Now your channel. Why don't you tell everybody about your channel, Mike? This is a good spot. Cheap,
okay. It's an original name. It's Mike N2MAK because I had no idea what to call it, and I realized I kept saying that all the time in the videos, so I just decided to roll with that. But I do a lot of parks on the air and portable operations, a little soda here and there, and so I started it earlier this year, and it's just kind of catalog of my adventures, different gear I'm using, and I'm all about trying new antennas, new setups, new modes. I love watching my son's got his general. He's 13, so he's more about gaming and the girls, or what do they say, the fumes and the perfumes, or whatever.
That's what it is now. That's new.
Yeah. So he doesn't get out as much with me as he used to when he first got licensed, but we still get out from time to time, and he'll actually be our club's got our Ham Fest this weekend, and he'll be volunteering working there with me at the gate. So anyway, the channel, a lot about portable radio, POTA, and rookie mistakes and all the fun that's made in the process.
there's no what have we said? There's no such thing as mistakes. The only time there's only 2 times you make a mistake: trying to get on the highway to retrieve your cell phone and not calculating the traffic coming out. There you go. See, there you go. Who was that? Ape? Did Ape do that?
Ape did that. Who else?
Dodging traffic. Yeah. You can't get me.
Or something electrical, somehow the wire or whatever. That's the only time. Other than that, it's all about experimenting and having fun. So, I love watching all of your videos, man. So thank you.
No, thanks.
So Matt, I'm not going to skip you, Matt, intentionally. I'm skipping you intentionally because you're going to be talking a lot coming up here. I'm going to go to Shane, and then we're going to get right into it.
No
Shane,
worries.
what's going on, buddy?
Not a whole lot. Just enjoyed the long holiday weekend. I made a little extra long by taking last Friday off. I ran up to Duluth to do some errands. Then I hit a new to me state park on the Minnesota side and
Nice.
did a little hike in POTA and just enjoying stuff. Nothing too exciting.
I like your tag there on the bottom underneath your name and call sign.
Yep, I'm the spare Shane. If you're Shane Short, just give me a call.
So for any other YouTubers out there or fix-it videos or anything else, if flying a plane, doing balloons, call Scout 75.
Yep, I do my own stunts.
Yep.
Self-insured.
Just like Molson does.
Yep.
I'm telling you guys, like, you're making fun of me, but I seriously second guess myself. When I got in the car, I'm like, was I responsible? Was I safe? You know, I was double checking it because, you know, like, it's one of those things, you know, you ever turn the corner with your car and you hit a pothole, you're like, did I hit somebody? Right? You know, you were looking, but you're like,
I know what you did last summer.
Right? No, you know what I mean, right? We all do it. Let's not pretend. You hit a pothole,
Okay.
you're expecting, you're like,
The
what was
most
that
important question: were there any kids in the car? Were there any kids? Seriously, were there any kids in the car? Any witnesses?
There's nobody
Any
in the
family?
car.
All right, then. See, there you go. That's being a good parent. If you're going to do something reckless, you don't do it in front of the kids.
Make sure nobody can witness it. Okay.
That's
Make sure there
right.
are no
You don't
witnesses.
want no
Just talk
witnesses.
about it on just talk about a YouTube show.
Because then you can go home and you can take the story of what happened and tell the wife or anyone else who's listening in the house. Because you know what happens? The house has ears. We all know that. Anybody with kids, you're talking to somebody in the kitchen, your spouse. Next thing you know, you hear rumbling in the background. All of a sudden, they come out to the kitchen or whatever. And you can now take that story and you can say, hey, man, you should have seen what I did today. You know, I mean, you could have been.
Just remember, you're over the age where the Canadian healthcare system is going to pay for much more than a Band-Aid for you. So
Yeah, that's right. You're going to really take advantage of that universal
crap
health
while you're down here for Dayton next year or whatever.
Oh, man. Yeah, you better do that shit north of the border.
But Molson, you telling that
Better do
story
that.
reminded me of my dad. My dad is famous for if we're driving and he sees anything on the side of the road, like a cooler top or a toe strap or a hat or something, he slows down and he checks it out and he'll go.
I want that. Right?
Yep. One time we're on a family trip. We're heading through Minneapolis. We're on I-35. There's 4 lanes, the stop and go traffic, and there was something on the inside ditch by the median. I think it was like a life jacket. And my dad's sitting there going like this, and it's stop and go. And my mom just goes, "Don't you even think about it," and just going on. So I just mentioned that scenario where it's like, can I make it or not here?
I'm actually picturing this scenario or the whole topic of, you know how we've seen through the internet for many years, the guy who has the chainsaw between his legs and he wants to start it. It's like, is that a good idea? Molson, that's the category of, is this going to be a good idea for me to run out to the highway and get? Because what if it was the wife? Okay, how about this? What if it was the wife's diamond ring? Would you go after that?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. Of course you would. Come on, we know that. Cell
I think
phones.
there's a big difference between a black cell phone that's 6 inches by 3 inches and a diamond ring. You're going to be like, where the heck is it?
You're going to look for that diamond. Oh, trust me, you're going to go look for that diamond ring.
Yeah, the cell phone's insured. The ring isn't.
At least that's what you're going to tell her.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Anyways,
all right.
I think Shane, when you were saying that about your dad, I was thinking your dad probably played his own version of Frogger and Price is Right combined.
Yeah,
it was like he only jumps into traffic. He's like, "Oh, that $5.99, Bob. That's right. Come on down." Jumping across the highway.
Let's make a deal. Do you want what's? That's right. Let's make a deal. Do you want what's behind the curtain or behind the box? Or I'll give you $100 now in cash right now to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's
anyways, listen.
Anyway,
you never lived down the irony of you died trying to save a life preserver.
But that was a. That was a damn good life preserver.
Yeah. But once I was a little bit older, like junior high school age, then you'd pull over and say, "Shane, go over there and get that," because you're a little.
That's right, man. Yep. Then you knew Dad trusted you, or he said, "Hey, listen, don't worry about it. We have a couple other kids. Don't worry about it."
I don't know where this came from, but Joe Brett says Molson is coming to Huntsville in a kilt. I don't know where that came from, but that ain't happening. Anyways, listen.
No. What he said is you're going to get
you can pull it off. He can pull
That's
it
how
off.
they say it in Joe Brett land. He said you're going to get killed.
You're gonna get killed.
Maybe I'll stay away from that. All right.
Matt, most importantly, what the hell are you doing here, Matt?
What am I doing here? I don't know. You
Tell
guys
everybody.
said you were hard up for people, and could I please come? And so here I am. I don't know. What am I doing? Well, we got a little POTA thing going on this coming weekend. Thought maybe it would come up in conversation. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us about it. What date is it?
Well, it depends where you are. UTC.
Oh, here we
it's
go.
June. I should know this, right? Is it 2nd and 3rd or 3rd and 4th?
Third
Help
and
me out here,
fourth.
Steve.
They're 3
Yeah.
and
3rd and
4th.
4th.
3rd and 4th. Right. Starts on June 2nd for me, being -5 or whatever we are here, Eastern time. So for those of you who have been around POTA for a while, you will remember previous plaque events. It's largely the same thing, but POTA and the plaque event are going through a trial separation, if you will. The event grew and grew and grew and grew to the point where it was really just not sustainable to just keep it a random Parks on the Air weekend and keep it part of POTA. So after last year's event, we spun up a committee to say, look, we basically want this thing to continue on, but it needs to be its own thing with a life of its own and people who run it, and so that there can be a clear distinction between POTA, the thing that's not a contest, and this 2-day event, which clearly is a contest. So we gotta go like this. So that's what we did. And the committee came up with the date and started with the plaque event of old, but contemplated quite a lot of user feedback on some changes that have been long overdue, frankly, for this thing. So some of them are real super duper simple, like, okay, this is a thing sponsored by POTA, but it's not POTA. So that's real simple. So the first thing they did was 86 the WARC bands. It was something like 0.04% of the QSOs made over that weekend are on the WARC bands anyway. So whether it was necessary or just good optics or whatever else, the WARC bands are out.
Okay.
POTA is now in 90 some odd countries, and access to 60 meters is not ubiquitous, is not harmonized, is not the same everywhere. So the heck with it. 60 meters.
I like that word. Just so you know, ubiquitous. I'm gonna try to crowbar that in.
Yeah,
See,
I'm good as long as you don't ask me to spell it. I am an engineer. I can't spell anything. So we got rid of those 4 bands. So you can go out and you can POTA away and call CQ POTA on 12 meters all you want, but those QSOs are not going to get counted for the plaque event. Is basically the way this works.
Okay.
The other thing we did is we got rid of the NFIRS, the multipliers. And this, again, was done under the auspices of making the whole thing more fair. That if you happen to live in the greater DC area, you have ready access to 3, 4, 5 furs. Somebody the other day claimed they found a 6 fur. If you live out in Kansas, you're probably lucky if there's a park within an hour's drive. So giving the folks who already have access to more parks a multiple where they could count those parks more than one time really, in hindsight, seemed like it was pretty unfair for a thing where we're going to hand out awards. So that real awards, not Molson's participation trophies.
Keep the playing field level. Am I right?
Yeah.
Keep the highway open.
Right.
So just so I'm clear, if you want to go out and work a twofer, like your local park's a twofer, and you want to use 17 meters, that still counts for the normal POTA, but it does not count for the parks event.
Yep. Nothing about POTA changes for those 2 days.
Sure.
If you don't care about the event and you just want to go out and do POTA, Nothing changes for you.
Look at that. That's great. I like that.
Yep.
So,
Nothing
so Matt,
changes.
can you clarify the dates for me for the event?
So it's June.
Is it June
3rd,
or July?
June.
It's this weekend.
Because I'm on the POTA official events tab, and it says Summer Support Your Parks is the third full weekend of July.
Different.
That's different.
The Support Your Parks weekend is a POTA thing. The plaque event is a different thing. It is not a Support Your Parks weekend.
Molson, go to YouTube and
That
start
was-
the show from the beginning. Go back to the beginning.
That was one of the changes that was made. If we decided, okay, well, if this event is going to be a separate thing, it's inspired by POTA and sponsored by, but it isn't part of POTA, then it clearly can't conflict with the POTA schedule. So it got
That makes
moved
sense.
off of the Support Your Parks weekends schedule. So we're back to having a summer Support Your Parks weekend that's just like all the rest of the Support Your Parks weekend. It's we go to Code Orange and raise awareness, and frankly, nothing actually happens.
No, that's not true.
Matt, why or do I need to go look in the back chat and see who chose this weekend?
Yeah. who
Well,
did?
so
Just curious.
Because I've caught a lot of heat for it from my club.
Good luck finding a weekend where there's nothing.
Exactly. I know.
Good luck.
That's what I've said.
Yeah, I mean, we pulled up. We did actually we looked at the contest calendar, and we frankly, between the existing POTA calendar with Support Your Parks weekends and coming up over July 4th, the 13 colonies is coming up.
Yep.
And there's just, and then Hamvention was just. So the reality is there's only so many places you can put stuff. And this is where it is, and it's probably not moving.
Good.
We have gotten some
Dig the
feedback
shovel.
from somebody who said, the periwinkle riddy contest on 11 meters has been scheduled this weekend for the last 22 years. Could you please move the POTA event? No. No, it's not moving. You've got field day probably in ink on your calendar for perpetuity. You can put this one in ink on your calendar for perpetuity.
Excellent.
Yeah. So the one other change that's coming to mind is around the categories. We've had categories for which we give out the awards since as long as we've been having this thing. We added 2 new ones. Again, designed around the idea of leveling the playing field a little bit. They're rookie categories. So if you're brand new to POTA, there's a category in which you can compete where you don't have to go up against the seasoned veterans who've been doing this since NPOTA back in 2016 or submitted a log with their QSO with Marconi or whatever the heck it is they've been doing for years and years.
Hey, just
and
because
years.
we did paper logs don't.
Paper. You finally made it to
Paper.
paper from the stone tablet and the chisel. Okay, you're
Yes,
on the
I
way
did.
up.
Yes, I
On the
used
way
a
up.
McDonald's one day. I swear to God, quick story. I used a McDonald's bag one day. It was just, hey man, you do what you got to do. You do what you got to do.
Well, and
Space
this is
Pen
an
and
aside, I
a
realize,
McDonald's
but as I have gotten more and more into it's motorcycle season, so I'm back on the bike to do POTA. And that means, I can take the 891 kit. I got it downsized enough that it fits. But boy, the KX2 sure fits better. And the QDX Mini just lives in the tank bag at this point. So I don't have room for a laptop with those QRP setups. In fact, the QDX is literally it's rubber banded to a little stack of index cards. That's my logging solution.
But I
for,
will tell you
that
about
thing.
But real quickly, I'm sure a lot of guys have gotten used to it. I love the opportunity now of taking my ADI file and just dragging and dropping into it and just uploading. That is the easiest. I quickly review my log, make sure it's correct, and upload it.
Yes.
Wash my hands and walk away.
Yes, you
I
do.
want to thank you guys.
If only everyone
thank you
did
guys.
that middle part where they review the log and make sure it's correct before hitting the upload button. We could circle back to that. But
Okay.
there's I won't say an asterisk. There's something that needs to be understood about these rookie categories. We do not have dates in the POTA database for when you joined the program.
Well, it's very simple. You're a first Q, so you go into your.
Yes.
Am I saying that
so
correct?
For an activator, for a rookie activator, this is dirt simple. We have activations in the database. We can see when your first activation was. If your first activation was within a year previous to this event, you're a rookie activator. And that's going to make some people unhappy because that means
I was going to say maybe it could be like a quantity if you had like 5 activations or less.
Too bad. That's the way it is for this year. If we have to change it for next year, we'll change it for next year. But the logic is already done.
Well, it makes either way it makes sense. I was just saying that. As option.
Well, and where were you on the event committee, Shane? Because that's a really good idea.
Say good ideas put you on a committee,
and it would have, it might have been easier to implement because for hunters, this is more problematic. We have the date of your first QSO where you appear as a hunter, but the nature of POTA is almost everybody I know who signed up for a POTA account has logged in and gone, holy crap, I have 85 QSOs.
Yep.
They talked to somebody who was out in a park somewhere along the way. Right. That was your first POTA QSO. So there's lots of folks who, maybe are going to sign up for POTA just to participate in the event. And they're going to be surprised to find out that they're not rookies.
Okay.
But that's the data we had to go by. And we're just going to have to rely on folks' understanding of
well, what are we doing this
intentions.
for? We're doing it for 3 letters, FUN. We're doing this for fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing this for fun. We're not trying to figure out the nation's debt and how we're going to solve the debt. We're not going to figure out how fast can I run across a highway to go pick up a cell phone and get back safely without being on the grill of a TT unit. It's very simple. It's for fun. That's it.
Yeah.
Get out there and activate.
Well, and it seems to be working because the program is still growing like a weed. I mean, I rattled off a bunch of stats at the Hamvention presentation. The short version of it is that if you average all the stats together, POTA had 63% growth from Hamvention 2022 to Hamvention 2023.
Wow.
And at that, to get down to 63%, you have to include some things like, well, the total number of unique hunter call signs went from 300,000 to 410,000. So that's only 25% growth. The total number of QSOs in the database, there were 7 million. When I did the talk last year, there were 14.2 million.
Whoa!
This year, the number
Double.
of QSOs more than doubled. So there's no shortage of folks participating in the program. Inevitably, that means that the number of folks who would like to see something different and are vocal about their thoughts is going up as well. But fortunately, it's still
join the committee. Yep. Join the committee.
Well, as somebody that's been enjoying POTA for last 3 years, I've noticed the growth just on my operating. Where going out, even if you spot yourself like in 2019, it could be iffy if you're going to get 10 contacts. And there's been times where I go out there. I remember the early days where I would be checking into nets just so I can get a contact to get the 10 contacts for an activation.
How about this? Do you guys remember when the POTA folks were releasing the data of how Mondays was a good day, but then Tuesday would slack off, Wednesday would kind of slack off, then Thursday, here comes the climb, that sliding scale going up. And you would still go out on a Tuesday, you would still you would still activate, get a little creative, like you said, but it wasn't like fishing without worms compared to the weekends. Now it is. And now
fast forward 3 years, like this weekend, I went out and my usual ritual is I'll set up my station, and then I'll dial around and find another park to park so I can just make sure everything works before I start calling CQ. like this last time, it's like looking at the spotting page and everything. It's like, man, I can't find a place. I'll just I activated the park without calling CQ. I just did park to park and got the park activated. There is so many people out doing it now. And everybody
I've been able
has
to do that with that QCX. It's a monoband radio. It's 20 meters or bust and CW only. And if you stay there long enough, you can activate the park doing nothing but park to parks on CW QRP. It's crazy.
Yeah. And every park I dial into has a pileup. It isn't like they're just sitting there calling to nobody. There's tons of hunters too. So it's really taken off. It's amazing.
Late at night, and with the bands, I don't care whether the bands are dead. I just think it's more of the participation that you get on that. Like for instance, Sunday night, the kids had a bonfire, and here I am sitting. I'm the bonfire chaperone. Excuse me, and I'm sitting on the 705 at 10 o'clock, and the parks are still. Guys are still at. Yes, I know it was Memorial Day weekend, but still, you're going to see that now all summer. You're going to see it all summer. It's great.
Well, right. There's any given day, there's enough people camping to be there all night now. The whole, even the business of the parks closing at sunset is less than
even in the mornings, just the opposite, Matt. Even in the mornings, you got the dedicated morning, the breakfast crew, I call them.
Sure.
A whole bunch of them.
I've gone out for like a couple early shifts just because the kids get on the bus by 7:30, and I got like a good hour or so if I'm prepared, and I can go out, and it's great to hop on 20 meters out here in New York at like 7:30, 8 in the morning. It's great, and just enjoying my coffee and
world's your oyster.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what speaks to me volumes about the popularity of POTA and the success is that when I was at Hamvention, I remember I walked by a booth and there were some OMs that are there talking. And I overheard them talking, and one guy goes, POTA, it's easy contacts, right? It's easy work. I'm like, well, you still got to go. You got to set up your radio. You got to set up your antenna. But what it is the popularity of it, increases. Like it's you're still making content. You still gotta operate your station properly. You still have to, it's just that it's become so popular and has been so much that people jump on it, right?
When did it become a bad thing for making QSOs to be easy?
I know, like
I thought part of the hobby was to make QSOs, make contacts, right? That's when I joined. That's what I was told. Make contacts. That's our hobby.
Yeah, I feel like there's this small group of people who are old enough or got started soon enough to have lived through the bottom of like solar cycle 22 or something, right? And remember trying to make 10-meter contacts on AM and going, this is impossible. And I kind of feel the same way about FT8. I personally find it pretty boring, but it does not bother me at all that you can jump on FT8 and make 100 contacts anytime you want. That's just, that's what the hobby's for. If you like a challenge.
I was doing an FT8 activation right before the stream just for a little bit. I was out at a park while my son had soccer practice, and just for a half hour, throw a ham stick on and with the 705 do it 10 watts. But then over the weekend, I built this past weekend, I built the Cartena's Mercury Link dipole. I brought it out and I did a 1 watt activation. 1 hour, I got 17 contacts, 1 watt, just see what it can do. And
well, right.
It's fun.
And
it's how
you
you
can't
learn,
win,
too.
right? You've got half the people telling you this is no good, it's too easy to make contacts, and then the other half of the people telling you life's too short for QRP.
Yeah.
Which is
Yep.
So let's just back up, and I want to make sure we say it again. If you are playing POTA on June 3rd and June 4th, if you go on the work bands, and you just want to sit there and play on the work bands, have at it, upload your log. It's like a regular POTA day. If you're not on the work bands, you are now automatically, correct, Matt? Am I saying that right? You're automatically.
every single log that gets turned in is going to be analyzed to see where you landed in the event results.
Perfect.
There's
That's
no
even
way
easier.
to get out of having your log eyeballed by the automation to see if you are owed a plaque. Well, I take that back. I suppose if you wanted to wake logs for the event have to be in within a week.
Okay.
So if you really, really, really find the whole thing so objectionable that you don't even want your log looked at by a Lambda function in AWS, then wait 2 weeks to upload it.
But more importantly, regardless if you're participating, get those logs uploaded. Are you hearing that, Frank the Tank? Where is he? Is he in the chat? I didn't see him yet.
I haven't seen it
Make
yet.
sure,
but-
You got a
make
week.
sure your logs get uploaded. Yeah, you have 7 days.
You got a week. We're gonna grab a snapshot of the QSO stats one week after the event ends, and that's it. That's what the results are going to be calculated based on.
All right, and let's just say somebody goes to a twofer. All you're going to have to do is you're only going to choose which. Don't list yourself as a twofer or threefer, correct?
Do it the old-fashioned way. If you were around POTA the first couple of years, there was no such thing as an NFR. If
You're
you
right.
went to
That's
a spot that was 2 or 3 or 19 parks, what you had to do was pick one. Call CQ, amass contacts from that park, go QRT, and then call CQ again, giving out a new park number.
Right.
You had to do them sequentially. And that is still perfectly valid for this particular event. So we were not able to completely eliminate the value of an NFR existing, right? Because it's going to save you. There's 0 travel time, 0 setup, 0 teardown. You're going to be able to knock out those parks faster than somebody who has to drive to get from A to B. But can
you clarify? So all they have to do is log them in separate logbooks as different parks, or is it because some guys some guys
are going to have to make the QSOs again, right? Because we're gonna look at these things. You're not going to be able to have overlapping logs. Is what it boils down to. It's not possible to activate more than one park at a time during the event.
So your timestamp has to be different in the 2 logs.
Yeah, timestamp and park number.
So the way I see it, if you were in that position,
police, don't be POTA police. Let them do it on the back end.
Right. And if you're going to be at a park for 2 hours and it happens to be a twofer and you really like the park, maybe for the first hour, just activate under one park number. Take a break, get yourself something to drink. Stretch your legs. Then get back on that same 20-meter band, but just call it in this, and then respot yourself with the new park number. And away you go. Now you got 2 ADI files. You're going to do your upload. You're going to drag and drop them or whatever, and life is good.
Yep.
Life is good.
Yep. So the only other thing I think folks really need to know is because we're going to allow regular old POTA to exist during this event weekend, there is inevitably going to be some confusion. And so somebody's going to go out there and they're going to say, I don't care, I'm operating my rig on 17 meters or whatever else, and somebody else is going to scream at them. So to Daniel's point, don't be the POTA police. Let the back end sort it out. They're not going to get credit for anything.
Do you mind coming off of 17 meters, and can we make this contact on 20? Because I really need it for my...
Well, yeah, there's that. And then the other thing I'll say to the activators, the idea here is to keep this as much like POTA as possible with the playing field leveling and optic stuff in place. So just call CQ POTA or whatever you normally, however you do your activations, just do them the same way. For the love of God, do not call CQ POTA contest. Like anybody within driving distance is going to get a personal choking.
Oh, you're going to get
calling,
a choke. I was going to say a backslap, but you're going to go right for the choke. You're going to go right for the choke.
Yeah, because all that's going to do is feed the trolls, frankly. So
please copy CQ contest.
Do your activation the same way you always did it. Don't change nothing except for make sure you stay on the bands you need to stay on and do the NFR sequentially if you have one. Other than that, POTA on. The logs are the same. You submit them the same way. It's all going to get sorted out on the back end.
So we have a question for you.
Good one.
From our buddy Charlie Red, Summit RF. He says, why have the news updates waned of lately?
We moved them to quarterly instead of monthly because the Support Your Parks weekends were making the stats yo-yo. You'd have a Support Your Parks weekend month and the stats would be through the roof, and then you'd have a month or two where there wasn't one, and then there'd be another one. It was sort of nonsensical, really, to look at the stats on a monthly basis. So we moved that to a quarterly cadence so that we could have consistent every quarterly POTA update. There's one Support Your Park weekend in the mix.
That makes sense.
Plus, frankly, I
That's
think
a lot of work.
Well,
am I right?
Yeah, it is. It is a fair amount of work, but it's also
Steve,
it's more. I think it's one of those things where less is more, right? I would not want to sit down and watch 12 of those things in a row. So, 4 in a year is probably enough.
I was just going to say, I think a quarterly news, I think, and from my world, is fine. Somebody still has to retrieve the data. That person could maybe be doing something else with behind the scenes with that time allotment. There's a lot of, but I still think we can still. It's fun when you hear the DX coming in. When you hear the DX chasing you, that's like, man, this program made it.
Yeah. You know? The goal, and this is just lack of effort, frankly, which I'm blaming on lack of time, whether that's true or not. The goal was to fill in with some other types of content. So we had that one Ask the Devs live stream. We had a couple guys on and we asked them some questions, and that went over pretty well. And I've been talking to the support staff and the rest of the admins and such things, and thinking, well, we could do a few more of these kinds of things. And then we did the interview with Leon when he activated all 51 U.S. entities. And that went over pretty well. So there's the thinking that, well, there's a whole bunch more. I mean, POTA activators are interesting to a one, and there's a bunch of hunters who have done some interesting things. So
true, I agree.
There's a bunch more content to have out there. It's just it's a matter of somebody who's not quite as lazy as me needs to probably chip in and help out, which even there's now more. It's not even just me. You may have noticed that the thumbnails have improved drastically on the POTA YouTube channel. That was not my doing. we got some other help in there. So things are looking up.
Oh, absolutely. When you look at this program from 3-4 years ago, from when I started to where we are today, it's like my first Q show that I made back in 1989. The excitement is still there. It's like the first time I kissed a girl. The excitement is still there. Your first time you got your driver's license and you went and you took the car or the truck for a ride by yourself. The excitement was still there. Your first concert, whatever analogy you want to use, man, POTA is still there, in my opinion. It really is.
Well, I was thrilled at the end of the presentation in Hamvention. There was just a mob of people who came up and wanted to talk, and some of them are old POTA familiars, just wanted to say hi, and we hadn't chatted in a while. But there was one person who came up. He had come in, either he'd come in a little bit late or I don't know. There was just too much in there. But he asked me a very basic question. Well, what's the difference between a hunter and an activator? Go over it, no problem. But it was fantastic to see, hey, like even at this stage of the game, even in a place like Dayton, which tends to attract the more hardcore ham crowd, your casual ham isn't making the trek to Dayton. There are still opportunities to expand POTA's reach and get more people into the fold. So that was the other stat that I don't know if I had handy here. Yeah. So last year there were 300,000 call signs in the hunter database. And this year, 415,000. calls in the hunter database.
What the who
No,
just
it's all
stop
it's
messing
all
with?
good.
I'm old. Stop messing with my eyes.
Most of our
Now that we got that out of the way, here's the
Yeah.
I
stats.
thought I got squished by a trailer.
So-
what the hell?
And you guys can just glance at this and read through it, take whatever you will from it. But the part that really jumps out at me is there's this consistent. Last year there were 300,000 calls in the hunter database, 21,000 POTA accounts. This year 415,000 call signs in the hunter database, in the QSO database. So in 1 year, right, we had 115,000 new call signs in the QSO database as hunters. And we're up to close to 39,000 accounts as of today in POTA, which is fantastic. Wow. It's humongous growth from last year. But it's still, look at the disparity between the number of call signs, people who have participated in POTA, and the people who are actually signed up for it.
Molson, are you signed up for it yet?
So,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
Hey, listen,
he's already uploaded a log.
I want to make sure.
I've uploaded
I just
one,
make sure.
maybe two. I have one on my phone that's long overdue. But anyways, listen.
not
you might be surprised though.
On the phone. We got to extract that data.
So much for those QSOs.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
If you ever
breaker 19.
If you make contact, I think Scout did this once or twice. If you make contact with me, let me know. I lost my log. Remember at the beginning, people were losing their log after like 100 QSOs on hammers or something like that. Anyways,
that was operator error. That was my fault. Yeah. I felt bad because there's people that are going. I made a contact with you and you're not showing up on my stats yet and everything.
I need that park to park.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I started to feel bad at that time, but now I've kind of.
I need to set up that live stream with the guys from the help desk because they have some good stories to tell of,
Look at Steve's face.
you
Look
know,
at
not
Steve's
not
face.
throwing anybody under the bus or calling anyone out. Stuff happens to everybody, but there are definitely some funny stories that come in to that help desk.
I've had people. One time in particular, somebody contacted me through QRZ. This is I noticed you uploaded the log 3 weeks ago, and you had my call sign wrong. Can you fix that? And this was back where before you had the automatic submit thing. And I said politely, I'm not going to email my admin for the area and waste his time changing one call sign. There's just one contact, dude. You'll get 100 more. And he went back with me like 3 or 4 times on email saying, I have to do this for his stats. I'm like, dude, if you're worried about one contact in your hunter's logs, you're not making enough contacts. Don't worry about it. Go chase someone else.
Ham radio. This is
That's what I tell everybody. POTA is so active right now. In the time you spend emailing either an activator or the help desk about one QSO, you could have made 10.
Exactly.
No,
hunted, right. You could have easily hunted somewhere, right?
Unless you're trying to hunt James.
Yeah, well, then again.
So Izzo, before you were questioning if I have an account. I don't know if you saw it in the Discord, but my wife and I are planning our summer holidays, which will be the last 2 full weeks of July, coincided with the construction holiday in Quebec. In Quebec, all construction shuts down for 2 weeks. If you didn't know that,
does it really? So that's it's like a shut. That's a
shutdown
across the whole country. All the wow.
Yeah.
Look at
right, no, not that country, in the state, and then we follow it. Anyways, long story short, we're planning to go up northern Ontario, and I was looking at it, and there's a ton of POTA parks that have never been activated.
Oh, look at you, ATNO.
My plan. Now I'll show you boys where it is, but I 2 logs, 1 log.
2 logs from 1 park. Hey, that counts.
A contact is a contact.
Hey, listen,
park
I got to stretch
and
my
you got
legs,
the New Year's Hunter participation trophy too. That's awesome.
Thank you. Anyway, so my plan is to activate a bunch of parks on the way up there, and there's not a lot of activators up in that area, so I might be the only activator to ever activate those ones. Hopefully, I can activate them.
Awesome.
So, yeah, and what's really cool about a lot of them is you have to take logging roads to get to these parks.
There you go.
So old, like logging roads from the 1950s and the 1960s and 1940s.
That caravan.
Those will be
caravan
a lot
ain't gonna
easier
make
to
that
get your
truck.
phone back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that logging truck coming down.
No, it's no lie.
But
It's
then
all
again,
logging roads to get to a lot of these parts.
Wow. That's
No,
I've definitely been on some
stages of
sketchy
fraud.
roads, like for some parks that have not been activated. A lot of times, those AT&Os have not been activated for a reason, and there's some pretty rough forest access roads and stuff.
Is it
like
just
that.
me, guys? For any of those who have done the AT&Os, is it just me? I get to that park and I double check it, I triple check it to make sure I'm in the boundary. I make sure I got my numbers right, and then a few times I just looked around and I'm like, you've never been activated. It's not that I'm making myself into a king or anything, but it's almost like this. It's almost like the first snowfall, and you're going to take those steps into the snowfall, into the snow. I don't know. It's a weird thing of I have never thought about it of any greatness. I say that very honestly, but it's just a weird sensation that nobody's activated this park before.
It clearly has meaning for some people because we've had a couple occasions. It was more common early on in the program than it is now, but where somebody will go and activate a park, and it was an all-time new one, and they're the first activator, and then down the road somebody comes in and submits some old log from. They were on a camping trip or they did it as part of NPOTA or whatever else. And now all of a sudden they weren't the first one to activate this part.
Whoops.
Somebody else did it previously. And
Yep. That was my two
boy,
first.
do some folks get bent when that happens to them.
That's my two stories for that. Back in the early, like 2019, when I first got into it, I noticed there's a small park not too far away from me that was never activated because it's kind of all the way. And I went there QRP. And I was there all day until my battery went dead, and I had 8 contacts. Like, oh, geez,
no.
Go home, charge the battery up overnight. That was on a Saturday. Next Sunday, I went there and I got 12 contacts. Excited, I got the first time. A few weeks later, I'm getting ready to go up to my parents' cabin on Lake Superior. I noticed there's another out of the way park that's kind of on the way. So I drive 45 minutes out of the way. I get there. Bands open up. I made 20 some contacts. I'm like, yes, I got 2 first time activations. And then checking up the logs, well, somebody must have did the Frank and did the activation and didn't turn in the log for a week or 2 because that second one, somebody else activated like a month earlier. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
my prize taken away.
It happens, right?
Yep.
People go out on a road trip and they're on the road for 6 or 8 weeks or whatever, and they're hitting parks and they don't do anything with their logs till they get back. So it is what it is.
But here in 9 Land and Zero Land, we have a legend. It's I think it's N0YES. He's got the almost any park you pick up in the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. He's been there, and he's usually the first activator, and he's usually the guy that has the most. He's like peppers this area. So there's some local legends, and it's just not all James that's nailing one park.
Right.
There's people that are, each region has their own.
Lewis and Clark, the Lewis
Exactly.
and Clark of the pioneers, the POTA pioneers.
Lewis and Clark Trail starts here in Pittsburgh, right down at the point.
No kidding.
Yeah, where the Allegheny and the Monongahela come together to form the Ohio. That's the start of the Lewis and Clark Trail.
Is that a POTA park? Is that Trail Park?
The trail is in the system. Yeah.
There you go.
So.
So
I don't know
Matt,
how far down the Ohio it goes.
I think this is going to be a fun weekend, regardless. Unless you have rain, and then you go hunt. If you plan on activating, but there's always Sunday, if you can, based upon work, family, and other activities. But just try to get something in. Participate one way, both ways, or whatever. That's how I.
Yeah, that's if I had any old guy advice, right? It would be that you don't have to be in the running for a plaque to have fun in the plaque event.
Right.
Much like field day. You don't have to have an 11 radio multi-op station and make 85,000 contacts to go out and participate in field day and get something out of it. And this plaque event is the same way. There's going to be just an unholy amount of traffic on the bands from this thing. It's going to be as bad as any contest weekend you can imagine.
All right, so now, when you saying that, hold on now, Mike, you play around with various new antennas and you go out there. Do you think this is a good statement? This would be a good time if you want to. You know how we always have that one or two go-to antennas. This may be a good weekend to bring an antenna that you normally wouldn't use. Try it out, right, Mike? I'm thinking that this may be a good with all the activity. Yeah, I think it's going to increase and enhance you having a success with your antenna.
Yeah, for me, POTA has been my lab because I don't have a permanent station at my home. So I'm blessed in Western New York. We got parks all over the place in New York to begin with, let alone you get to the Finger Lakes where I am, and they're just a few minutes away. So I'm constantly going out and testing things. That's what I do, and it makes it fun and interesting too. It's a good way to learn about propagation and try different bands, different modes, and everything. But you
take a Walt, Coastal Waves and Wires antenna that you've been seeing on Facebook or on a YouTube channel or his Twitter or whatever, and now you take it and you're looking at it on a piece of paper, say, "Hey, I'm going to try this on Saturday or Sunday. Let me build it on Friday night or whatever." And we'll throw it up in the air, and or we'll do the Scout 75 trip. We'll get stuck up in a tree, and guess what? And that's going to work.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true all of the time, really, with POTA. I know for a fact I would not have bothered to build a pair of 630 meter transmitters and register and go out to the park and find a buddy. And I would not have bothered doing anything on 630 meters if there wasn't that carrot of, oh, look, you could be the first 630 meter QSO in the POTA database. So it motivates you to try all kinds of stuff.
And not only antennas too. I guess let's talk about power. I mean, we could talk about power sources, rigs.
Well, there is one other little bit of POTA news I think is generally well known. It turns out that there's a book. There is a POTA book that's in the works that the ARRL is coordinating, and they've got a real good crop of POTA regulars lined up to write for this book. So I think it's going to be a real interesting thing, because they're going. Well, I don't know how much I'm allowed to divulge, but it's not going to be a how-to POTA manual, right? That's covered. This is going to be a different kind of a thing, and it was really nice to catch up with all the ARRL folks out in Dayton and 201. They're all just ecstatic over POTA and what it's done for ham radio.
If it was the ARRL writing it and it's a POTA themed book, if it was a Christmas book, I would guess it'd be called "How the Grinch Stole POTA." But that's not accurate. So
yeah, no, they're I don't know, in the chat there's the insinuation that there's some history there. If there is, I'm not familiar with it, but everybody's on board where they ought to be at this point. So it was good to see the
it's making such an impact in the community and helping it that it's either get on board or step aside. It's really what it is. POTA has taken on a life of its own. You said the stats. It's so influential now, and it's making, like, what did you say? 100 and something hunters, you said, right? 100 and something thousand hunters, was it?
415,000 unique call signs in the QSO database in that hunter column.
That's insane. That's huge. That's huge. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was 2 weeks ago. It's probably 450 by now.
I was gonna say, I'm wondering how many of those our people have changed their call sign.
Who knows?
Oh, Steve.
Who knows?
Steve.
Not trying to throw a monkey wrench
how
in
many,
there, but
how many of them are? Well, I'm in there as N3NWV, and then I was slash VE6, and then there is some of that. There's
and how
some,
many club
some
call
special
signs
event
are in
call
there?
signs in there. W1AW is in there. So
I wonder how many are in it that don't even know what POTA is. Just like you said, they just heard somebody call it CQ, and they just made a contact and moved on.
Well, just to what Matt was saying, if you registered today, not realizing you had QSOs over the last year or so, you're spinning the dial.
Yeah,
Don Izzo works you,
but that's one
Shane
of my
works you, Mike works you.
favorite. That's one of my favorite slides in the stock. What is POTA deck? Talking about why does this work? Part of why it works is because it's so dang easy.
Yep.
Right. It's so easy that you may have done it and you didn't even know you were doing it.
Well, I bring
and
that
I'm not
up
talking about like you had a fraternity blackout here. This is like you were just playing radio
because on a 2
you
meter net, we're talking about
I
POTA.
POTA'd again.
Yep. We're talking about POTA, and one of the regulars on the net goes, "What is? I've never heard this POTA thing. What is this POTA?" So explain it to me. And somebody was explaining it, and I looked up this call, and I get back on there. I'm like, "You have 23 contacts in the POTA log right now. You've contacted people," and he just says, "Well, I just hear people calling out their CQ, and I give them a contact to move on." And I go, "There's a lot of people I bet there that legitimately don't know that they're in the POTA log."
I was gonna say, I think Jim FEP Labs had a half dozen awards when he signed up.
Yeah,
I'll tell you one thing. I know sometimes we like to point out problems, mistakes, but I'm gonna talk about something very positive here. This did happen honestly on Sunday morning with me. One guy did ask me about POTA and he's hunting me and how does he log it, and I took the time to explain it, and everybody kind of just took a breather. The pileup was kind of deep. I mean, but everybody was polite. Everybody stood by. That's when you just, hey, everybody, again, you got to go run upstairs, go to the bathroom, leave the shack for a second. You want something to drink, whatever. Excuse me. Go pet the dog, say hello to someone, go look outside the window, come back. I'm still going to be there. Not one person said anything bad in the back, keying up over him saying, come on, get this thing going. Or, we've heard those horror stories or those not so good stories. So I would like to say to everybody, thank you for your patience when somebody new asks a question, because guess what? We were all there, and sometimes we all have a question. It's always nice when somebody can just take the time. That 30 seconds, that 1 extra minute is not going to, again, this is a fun hobby. This is what it is. We're not saving the world, folks, because we're making contacts. We're having fun. So again, if I can share some wisdom that other people have given me that wisdom to forward it on, it's always nice when everyone else in the room is just being a little patient. And that is nice. It really, really is. So thank you.
Yeah, I got to take somebody out for their first POTA activation this week, and that never gets old.
Right.
It is just... It's, in a way, it's almost unfair, right? Because you can go out and you could just make QSOs anytime with POTA. Especially, I'm on the East Coast. 40 meters was not a train wreck. So on a good 40 meter day, 40 meters is fish in a barrel on the East Coast, POTA. And then just to see and this is a guy, he's not been a ham a really long time. He actually got into it through the RC, quadcopters and planes and whatever crowd. Cool. So he's just sort of generally wide-eyed at all of the different things you can do in ham radio, which is fantastic. The enthusiasm of new people for, ooh, shiny, you can do that. It's great. So those kinds of folks are particularly fun to take out on a POTA activation and, run 100 QSOs an hour.
Yep.
Mike, have you thought about what you want to do for this weekend?
I probably gonna be on the radio very little. We got our club's ham fest on Saturday, and then I got to work on Sunday, and it's also my youngest son's birthday party, and we got 4 soccer games too. So it's
wait. It's very simple. The birthday parties are at a POTA park. It's very simple. Kids like parks. Kids like parks. Kids. That's how you do it. You told us before while the kid was playing soccer, you were at the car making contact. So
I'm lucky enough that he's got soccer practice at a POTA park. So
there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I count my blessings. So I'll probably hunt some stations and stuff like that, and whatnot. Maybe Matt can talk to Jason, and maybe if they get me in their logs, there'll be a multiplier. But yeah,
yeah. Well, the I don't know if it's not really a multiplier, but the other thing that has really ticked up is the club interest in POTA, and particularly club interest in this plaque event. There was no shortage of talk at Dayton of various clubs and their plans for, who's going where and how are they going to really maximize the number of QSOs. And
it's a mini pre-field day. Think about it, Matt. Am I right? It's like a field day warm up.
Yeah, well, the clubs in particular were the group that seemed to be most excited about the change to the ENFR rule.
Okay.
Because that was impactful in that category in the past. And so there were a bunch of clubs who really felt like they've onboarded some members, right? They had a 2 or 3 person team last year. Maybe they could scrounge up 6 or 7 people this year. And so they felt like, hey, we might have enough of a shot at maybe not winning, but at making the leaderboard kind of thing to make it worth doing. So,
Matt, do you ever feel sometimes like when you and the many others are working so hard behind the scenes, and we deeply appreciate it, man. There's not one person that I have ever heard of saying these guys, they take it easy, they create all these. I have never heard. Everybody has been so gracious, and we need
they're
you
on
guys.
To me.
Yeah, but do you ever find sometimes you just don't have that time to go play, or does it have to be more of a scheduled go play? Do you?
If you pull up my stats, my activation history is a little bit pathetic, frankly, for my role in the organization. But it is because a significant amount of the time that I have to spend on POTA gets spent on something other than going out and playing radio. So.
Do you ever just take some time and say, I'm going to go play radio, and that can wait? Or
no, I do. And again, with this is why I like to sort of try and combine things. The main reason for figuring out how to do POTA on the motorcycle is that then I'm able to work POTA time into time that otherwise would have just been spent out on the bike. I'm doing sort of the same thing with fishing, right? I gotta figure out how to get my fishing kit onto the bike so I can kill sort of 2 birds with 1 stone there, or vice versa. Make sure the park has a lake. Throw a line in, because I know, well, I'll get that rare DX contact from the place the one place I really need a contact from, and that's when the pole will go like this. But that's,
of course,
that's life.
So Matt, so Jesse wants to know, Matt, we'll ask you first, and then we'll go to Mike. Matt, what's your go-to rig?
I love the implication that there's one. So
right, then 2 rigs.
My go-to rig, I'm going to have to say, is an 891, and specifically, it's an 891. I desperately need to make a video about this, but I got it bagged up in an Oakley sling pack. So the radio, the battery that I made for it, and my coax and the rope for the literally this Oakley sling pack has everything in it. The CW key, the gloves for throwing the rope, everything is in this one bag. I can pick it up and go. It fits on the back seat of the motorcycle. I can run 100 watts if I have to. I never do. I would say that's the go-to rig. I have more fun running the QRP rigs. So I take the QDX or the KX2 whenever possible. But yeah, the 891 is the moneymaker.
Okay. Mike, how about you?
Yeah, it's probably for simplicity. It's my ICOM 705. I've got it, and I got it right here, like in a nice go bag. I just grab it and go.
Grab and go.
A lot of times, with between the work, the kids, everything else, it's convenient that there's parks right near me. But sometimes a lot of things is just short notice. You find out, oh, practice got canceled. I got an extra hour and a half of my life back. I'm going to run out and play radio for a little bit, and it's a little bit easier to just grab it, throw it in the front seat, go. And but I think, and I'd be curious to hear from Shane too, and Matt. But like sometimes, like where we are up north, like seasonally too, is like it might depend too, like what radio, what antennas, and what kind of setup you're going to do. Like you might be activating from the car, you might be activating from the picnic table. I know in the winter I'm in my car most of the time. Right. I do have one of the ice huts and a heater, and I'll use that from time to time. But I think the seasons kind of factor in. But from a radio standpoint, because I can get that 705 and everything I need, including a mast, on that bag. It just makes it so easy. And I don't think he's in the chat, but I'll give a plug to Scott Ham Radio for Non-Techies. I watched his video and review on the ICOM 705 bag, and then he recommended this one that I ended up getting, which is a photography bag. So it's got some of the Velcro padding you can kind of make adjustments, and everything fits in great, and it just makes it so easy to just grab and go.
Scout, you? What's your go-to?
I'm with Matt. I'm team 891. That's my go-to. Although, if I have the opportunity, I prefer to do QRP, often with the 705. But excuse me while I reach. Now I've been doing the ASU 818, and I got everything I need fit into this little chest rig, which works great with my backpacking, especially if I go on a multi-day backpacking trip. I have my regular backpack on and all my radio gears in this nice little chest rig. I got the radio, the spare battery, coax, everything. And like what Mike's saying, a POTA of opportunity. This will often sit in the back of my Jeep or in my truck, and if I'm on a road trip or something and I got an hour to spare, I can quickly get this thing set up. So pretty much like Matt, 891 would probably be the one that I've made 80% of my activations with, but if the mood's right, the time's right, it's either the 705 or the 818.
All right. Steve? You?
So right now the 891. It fits in the bike. I take it in the car. I've got the ATOS on the car. Actually, I swap it between the two vehicles, but just makes it easy.
Molson, when you went out, do you remember what radio you used?
Mel V30Gen has a 891 in his truck.
Wow, look at
and
you
in
guys.
fact, that's this weekend we actually have the Smith Falls swap meet or ham fest, whatever. So I'm hoping to find a nice rig. So I'm seriously right now. I'm actually looking at the POTA website and looking at Google Earth, and I'm a little afraid of some of these sites. I don't know how I'm going to get to them. I almost need to take float planes to get. No, but seriously. So like
Shane has a balloon. Shane has a balloon.
You have to saddle up
dead,
one of those
I'm
moose.
dead serious. I'm dead serious. It's like it's not even a logging road. It's not even a logging road. It's a friggin' snowmobile trail. That's like way out there, and it's like it shows it going across a lake, and it's like no, it doesn't go across the lake. But anyways,
it does in the winter when
it does in the winter time. It's called ice roads.
Here I am. I'm like, what if I bring the canoe? It's 9 miles of canoeing. So
there may or may not be some kayak activating in my future. We'll see.
Oh.
You guys, you want me to show you? Want me to show you guys?
Yeah, bring it up.
There's so many.
Yeah, get it
So
up.
let me just show you. Hold on a second here. So
While he's
and
doing
I'm putting
that,
a lot of effort into this. I'm putting a lot of effort because I really want to go and do this activation on my family vacation. But let me see if I can.
Sounds like it'd just be a cool place to go, regardless.
Yeah, exactly, Molson. Even if you just hunted, who cares?
So my computer is going slow now.
Oh man, you better bring the dude wipes up there. You better bring a lot of dude wipes. I don't see. Look at that. That's an adventure.
So I live way down here. And so when you go up here, there's not much in communities. So like this one here is easy to hit. No one's ever activated this one.
Tim Hortons.
No, there's hold on. Okay, so this one here, no one's activated it. So pretty easy to do, right? Right off the highway. But then you get into things like
Molson, just so you know, Joseph is listening. Joseph probably just activated it just now. The log isn't uploaded. He's gonna beat you through it.
Look at one right here. This one here. That's the hydro lines coming down from James Bay or up in that area. Okay, right. What you see there. And then this is a road, and then the only thing that gets over to here is snowmobile trails. So somehow I have to make the trek to there if I want to do it. So I don't know if I'm going to hit this one up. Might be a little bit complicated to hit that one. I don't feel like getting a canoe and going 9 miles up the river. But, you know, you're out moose and bear. This is moose and bear country. This one's pretty easy. This one's off a logging road. So this is, old school logging road, and you come right down and you're there. But there are some easy ones. None of these have been activated. So that one would be easy for me to activate. That's about probably 20 minutes away from where I'm staying. This one here is off a logging road, pretty easy. But some of these out here are not easy to get to. And that's going to be interesting to figure out. But this one here, I'm surprised. So this one is right near Timmins, which is probably one of the most bigger northern, like it's after Timmins in Ontario. That's a small town. There's not much left. These have all been activated here. An American, no, that's a hunter. VA3 DPZ. So that's cool. But like 20 minutes outside of town, you can pull over the high here and hit it. So
no, Molson, I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with the snowmobiling, but doesn't it make sense if there's a trail for the snowmobile? There's a trail when the snow melts. There's still a trail there, but maybe not for a vehicle. But
assuming it doesn't go over a lake that's supposed to be frozen.
Oh yeah, it goes over like I zoomed in on
or a Polaris.
I zoomed in on Google Earth, and there's no. It's a lake that goes over.
Oh, all right.
So, hold on, let's see if I can find it here.
And look at this. We have Joe Brett from Campus 805.
Joe Brett.
What's up, fellas? Y'all talking some POTA?
Another day in paradise.
We're talking. We talked radio minus a highway incident. We've been talking radio, Joe Brett. Just so you know, for the log.
I'm dropping in every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
And thanks for rocking the sticker there, Joe Brett.
Yeah.
I could see it right there on the edge of the cup.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. There you go. And look, hey Steve, it's not upside down either.
Yeah. Right next to Don's.
Smoke signals.
There you go. Guys, when I started with the ICOM 706 Mark II-G, and you guys have and ICOM knows, I have spent the thousands and thousands and a lot of zeros of buying ICOM stuff. I like their stuff. Mm-hmm. I really wish they would
7300 a few times.
Yes, I know, but and then I graduated to a 7300, and now I go between that and the 705. I was nervous. My first time I took the 705 out for its maiden voyage, I was nervous not because of the radio damaging thing. It was the psychology. I'm only going to be running 5 to 10 watts. And will I make some contacts? And can I do it? It's like I had to teach myself to walk again, and I did it, and now I have fun. So for this weekend, I haven't decided. Do I take the 705 instead and just run 10 watts? There's going to be so many people out there, even if I hunt from my park.
I have started beginning my activations with the radio set on 10 or 20 watts.
Right.
Because the pileups are so crazy that there's just what am I running 50 watts for? I got 35 people calling CQ with 10 or 20 watts. So I'll do that until it dries up, and then I'll turn it up to 50.
Right. I mean, I've done it, I think, times now. I have actually, and something, my success of taking it out more was I was fighting bags. I was fighting my bags. I finally, some night I'm going to bring on here when we got nothing else to talk about. I'm gonna show you guys the backpack I use, the camera bag that fits inside that holds the radio. I finally got something so functional. It's a good feeling, I think, regardless of whether you got a backpack, whether you have a gator box, whatever you are using to carry your stuff out. Once you feel comfortable with your equipment and how you're going to take it out, deploy it, and bring it back in, it makes it easier psychologically. It makes you want, instead of fighting it. And I remember with the 705, I was fighting it so that contributed to me saying, "Now I'll just take out the 7300." But the problem with me is all of a sudden I get this guy in Iowa, K0KLB. This guy is some of you may know who I'm talking about.
Kevin's awesome.
And Kevin will say to me, and guys, have you heard Kevin say this to you? Hey, Izzo, how much watts? I'm running about 80 watts. All right, turn it down.
Yep.
All right, you're still loud and clear. Turn it down. Okay, turn it down. And we got down to about, I think I was running maybe about a half a watt. And he was still able to hear me. Yes, there was a little struggle, but the point was he was still able to hear me. We were still able to communicate, and it was fun. And I think if we continue to do more of that, sometimes the saying, like what you said, Matt, earlier life is too short for QRP. It becomes so challenging. Now it becomes fun just goes into a whole new adventure of fun, a whole new category of fun. Of trying to do something, with 5 watts.
Yeah, well, and you can run through the math, and you can say, okay, you gotta double your power for 3 dB, and an S unit is 6 dB, right? So if you were S9 at 100 watts, you should be S8 at 25 watts, and S7 at 6.5 watts, and still, to get down to S5, which is still a perfectly copyable signal, especially if you're in a nice quiet park, you're down under a watt. Right. Mm-hmm. So a lot of this stuff, I think, gets real overblown. I typically run the 891. I don't know. I think I have it set at 50 watts out of the box, which is just a nice. It runs nice and cool, and I don't have to think about it. And my battery lasts forever, and whatever else. But I'll tell you the other thing that I did that made all of my portable setups just 100 times more enjoyable is get rid of the tuners.
Yep.
I just took them. I have a Matt 30 tuner for the 891. It's sitting in a box over there. I ought to sell it. I'm never, ever, ever going to use the dumb thing. The QDX obviously doesn't have a tuner in it. The KX2 does, and I don't have. It's built in, like a 20-to-1 tuner or some ridiculous thing. Yep. So I do make use of that and take a random wire usually with the KX2, but I really just have this strong preference for the simplicity of, let me just run a plus or minus 50 ohm antenna and call it a day.
You
just don't have to worry about it.
Just as simple, speaker wire dipole and a end fed.
I made an end fed half wave it's cut for 40 meters. So 10, 15, 20, 40. And then I put links in it to get 12, 17, and 30.
Yeah,
there you go. Keep it
That's
simple.
the fun for me for going to backpack portable route, because this is all I need right here. A little 20-foot run of RJ316 and an infid half wave. size of my hand, weighs nothing.
I use the K6 ARK antenna, and it has just blown me away.
Yep.
On a push up. There you go, Steve.
Yep.
And matter of fact, I used the K8 MRD method a couple weeks ago of taking the mast only up 25 feet, and I just leaned it into a tree. Didn't secure it, just leaned it into the tree, plugged everything in. Next thing you know, I'm working everybody. And a friend of mine was so amazed. She was so amazed. She's like, "Oh my God, how are you doing this?" I'm like, "Well, there's this guy in California I know." And so,
the wizard.
Yep. And it's fun for me because it just dumps right into my backpacking, where a lot of the trails I frequent are in POTA parks, and I'll go for a day hike and without the intention of doing POTA, but I'll stop at a place. I'm like, hey, I can hang a wire right there. This is a nice view.
Oh, we're always saying that. We're always doing that.
Throw it up in an impromptu POTA activation where I want a plan.
Yeah, well, I hit a milestone, right? So I finally broke down. My GoPro was a 7 or an 8 or something like that. And when the 11 came out, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll buy another GoPro. I swore I wasn't buying another GoPro until they gave me the ability to use a Bluetooth microphone with it. But anyway, the GoPro 11 comes in this zippered oblong case. And I took all the packing out of it, whatever. And this case, I could put the GoPro and my charger for 3 batteries back in there and the entire QDX setup. The QDX, the battery for it, my 3D printed key, 10 feet of RG316 coax, and the 20 meter end-fed half wave. It's all in the GoPro case.
Wow. Simple. Joe, Brett, we're just talking about favorite rigs that we like to go out. What do you like taking out, Joe? What's your kind of go-to?
Well, 705 or 7300 is what I got. So
that makes them real handy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you own them.
Yeah, that's it. 705 is nice for trips. Like I should have brought it this week coming up here and run up to Montesano, but I didn't. Whereas the 7300, if I'm planning ahead and I know we're getting together at a park close by or something, I'll take it. Just in case I need a little extra S unit, so I'll take it. But
how about antenna, Joe? How about antenna? What's your favorite antenna?
End-fed half wave is actually my favorite because of the lack of needing the tuner to switch bands. Because I'm the kind of guy that's like, okay, this ain't working out, let's go to this band. Or I just want to go see what the signals are like on this band. I like to bounce around.
Bounce around.
So I love my Buddy Stick Pro vertical, but I don't like having to get up to change it. And I know even if I just want to go listen to another band, if it's that far out of tune, those signals are going to be weaker than what they should be because it's not tuned up. So that's the give and take on that.
It really is, because Sunday I was using my Soda Beams 2040. I did it as a inverted V, and man, that thing just if I can hear you, I'm working it. But again, I got to lower it to go from 20 to 40. But but sometimes I think once in a while, even though I do get lazy, Joe, I totally get it. I like the convenience of switching bands on the fly, but I also know when I use that Soda Beams, it gives me the excuse to get up, take a break again. Instead of just sitting there for an hour, 90 minutes, just kind of, walk around a little bit, get a perspective of what's going on. And,
the link dipole is like that too. That's my truck antenna system. Now I got this F-150 aluminum truck, right? No mag mounts. So I've got the trailer hitch mount for the 10 meter mast, and I've got a linked dipole that goes up on the 10 meter mast. And I love the linked dipole. I have never really noticed, this is probably just an I'm on the East Coast phenomenon, right? I've never really noticed that the dipole works noticeably better than the end-fed half wave, to be perfectly honest with you. But it does give me, I put in links for 6 meters, which I didn't do on the end-fed half wave because that 49-to-1 transformer doesn't work. It barely works on 10 meters. It doesn't work at all on 6. And it gives me the ability to put extensions on that. That's how I run 60 and 80. So gives me some flexibility there that I don't have with the end fed. I had an end fed halfway for 80 meters at one point, and then I realized unless you're taking a rocket launcher with you to the park, ain't nobody got room for 80 meter end fed half wave anywhere.
How about a 160?
Yeah. Right. Well, so what we did when we do, my local club gets a cabin so that we can camp in a POTA park for winter field day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I take the DX Commander Expedition and I put that thing up, and then I put my end fed halfway for 40 meters up in the tree, and I use the wire for the end fed. It's supposed to be a half wave on 40 meters. Well, guess what? That makes it a quarter wave on 80 meters. So that becomes I can't even call it an inverted L. It's my squiggly, whichever ways the tree went, L-shaped letter or whatever, that gets the DX Commander on 80 meters. And that works great. And we keep threatening to try it with a wire long enough for 160 meters. But
just go with it. Yeah.
So we have a couple of questions. Do we go through the questions that we have here that are starred in the back?
No, we still need to hit those.
Go for it.
Let's hit those up. Maybe some of you guys can answer. So Plasma Storm will ask, are there any POTA contacts on 2200 and 630?
630. Yours truly.
Oh, nice.
And 2200 is coming.
Awesome. Wow. And then another one for you, Matt, here is our general logging question. Does the order of the fields in the ADI file make a difference? I typically have to rearrange mine to match the POTA instructions.
Nope. Doesn't make any difference at all. They can be in any order. Don't worry about it. There can be extras.
They just have to be labeled correctly.
Yeah, so
as long as everything has the correct ADI tagging on it and the required fields are in there somewhere, it should be fine.
There you go, Ron. Save yourself some
time.
I think move things around.
I think Eric's question was about my plans. He says, why not activate parks at home? I don't understand when people only do POTA when they go on vacation. Well, in my case, Eric, most people who watch the show know that, number one, not really done a lot of POTA. Obviously, 2 parks, 2 activations. I'm not set up for portable. So this is a great opportunity for me to gear up. I'm going to the flea market this weekend. I'm going to look for, when I was at Hamvention, I was looking for either 891 or a 706 Mach 2G. And I'm gearing up to find something as a portable station, and just happens to be convenient. It's a good excuse. And so that's why for me. And the other thing is I don't have a lot of time when I'm home. Vacation is my only time. So my only nights that are free are Tuesday nights, and everything else is pretty busy, especially in the summertime with garden, with animals, with work. Yeah. So
Tuesday nights are busy with you.
I don't think it is an either or, right? People talk more about their POTA plans when they're going on vacation because it's more interesting than, oh, hey, look, I went to K1387 for the 46th time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It gets more discussion. And I think it's more like, okay, well, I'm going on vacation. Now let me figure out how I'm going to fit POTA into this vacation than it is. That's the only time that
work
that they
trips
do it.
For me. Every time I told I have to go someplace for work, I look at the site I'm going to, the nearest hotel, and what sort of POTA entities are near it.
I do the same thing. Same thing.
Like Daniel say, when I'm at home, my closest park is a 30-minute drive, and I don't just want to leave the house and drive 30 minutes, to go to my local park. Maybe that's a sin, but I can plan for it better when I'm going on a trip of some sort. Mm-hmm. Because I'm already going to be in that area, and it's something new and interesting, like Matt said. I don't go out every weekend to make that 30-minute drive because my gas money's tight.
Well, if you think about it, when people go on vacation, right, they talk about going into a grocery store that they don't have at home, right? It's just something about being on vacation that makes things.
Hotel.
Yeah,
we used to hit all, dude. We used to hit all the Walmarts. We used to hit all the I don't know why, but it was something about go see and we knew what Walmart is, but we just had to see
we'll definitely
stopping at a Buc-ee's or a
exactly.
In-N-Out burger or whatever.
I love the truck stops. I love going to the various truck stops.
They just
I hit
started
Buc-ee's on my way home from
redesigning
DC.
our Dollar General.
How else am I going to get to a Tim Hortons, right? It's not an option around here. So yeah, I think it gets more press when people are planning something that they think is a rove, or I'm going to hit a bunch of parks, or I'm going to hit a bunch of parks that are new to me, or I'm just in vacation mode and I'm excited about it. I said the last time actually I was on the Clubhouse, I said something to the tune of, well, we try to come up with all of these different things in POTA to keep it from getting monotonous and boring. And I was roundly chastised for insinuating that it could ever become monotonous or boring. But perhaps you taken for granted a little bit. You don't think much of going to your local park because you've done it so many times, but it actually is still pretty cool.
Go ahead, Scott.
I have a park that's a mile and a half behind me. It's a wildlife area that's about 30,000 acres. And how I keep it interesting is I have yet to activate it in the same location. Because there's a bunch of different goat trails and boat ramps and observation decks and rest areas. I've activated that park, I think, 19 times now, and each time's been a different location. And my goal is to keep, I don't go out there for 200 or 300 QSOs. I get a dozen, 15, and I call it good. My goal is to never activate in the same spot until I get a kilo. And that's what kind of makes it interesting for me. So you can always do little tricks like that keeps up if you want.
Your imagination is the only thing that's going to stop you guys. I think, and we're so blessed.
Yep.
I am very, very happy that between manufacturers who have made some great radios, the Bioenos and the Denkos of the world, and all the other battery options, the antennas, the field, we are so blessed. As well as the other day, I was 2 weeks ago. We were kind of in the sun. I said I got to come up with a different way, and I didn't really want to throw the pop-up tent to 10 by 10. And I went on to Amazon. I was looking at canopies to go off the tailgate, sort of just do a home brew kind of a thing. And again, I'm thinking of this weekend, if not next weekend, the following weekend, just deploying it to and going. So again, once again, your imagination is what kind of chair are you going to sit in?
Yep.
I mean, we could probably spend 2 hours.
One of those beach chairs that has the roof over it or something.
We could spend 2 hours on the various chairs. As a matter of fact, on the Facebook POTA page, some of the beach canopy covers that I've been seeing, I was seeing them back in February being, again, marketing to the traditional beach people. And I'm like, heck no, but there's going to be a whole bunch of ham radio operators using this kind of stuff.
I've got to be
sure enough,
just for that.
Yep.
We bought it one time going to the beach, and from then on, I said, if I never have a picnic table to set up on or a shade, I'm taking that.
Absolutely.
I had a local ham that he wanted to get into POTA, but he's kind of caught in the middle where he says, I have one park that's close to me, and all the rest are like an hour drive away. He goes, I don't want to drive a long ways to go to one, but yet I'm afraid I'm going to get bored of it. Just go to the same one over again. And I told him, well, start off by going to the same one over and over again and see if you do get bored. Because a lot of people won't. A lot of people can go to the same park, sit in the same picnic table, and have a blast every time.
Oh, yeah.
I said, give it a go. And if you do get bored, then like we were saying here, you got the whole park to experiment with. Try using only one band. Try a different location. Try a different antenna. You can only get bored if you run out of ideas. And
do like Steve Goodgame and load up the fishing sign at the boat ramps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, play Will and Antenna. Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not getting bored of going to POTA Park.
Oh, I wasn't saying you.
But for the folks in the chat and stuff, I don't want to sound like a Scrooge. I enjoy it more. We've got a local group, and we're growing a local group that's really starting for the first time getting into POTA and discovering what it is still for the first time after all this time. And so it's more exciting for me to just wait until we go as a group and have a few folks go and do that instead of me spending gas money to go by myself. But, I will go.
I think the nice thing about POTA is there's something for everybody in there. The way that it's been gamified with, awards and recognitions and stuff, whether you want to go out and you want to go out every day, you want to go it's all about, if it's about QSOs, if it's about different parks, if it's about different bands and you want to work 6 meters and get a 6-pack. I'm trying to get my N1CC. I'm just a couple bands away at a few parks for that.
Yeah.
You can focus on a number of different things. If it's bands, if it's modes, if it's QSOs, if it's parks, whatever it is, there's definitely something for everybody. And for me, like I said, that's been part of my learning process being a ham for 2 years is just taking advantage of, the opportunity POTA presents and being able to try different things.
Well, and I'll tell you, never underestimate the value of just stopping to smell the roses, right? As much fun as POTA is, going and sitting your butt down on a picnic table at the park and looking around for a half hour is not bad all by itself.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, any day outside is not a bad day.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm going to show you. Hey, who can help me? Help me make this thing bigger. Make that so everyone can see that.
I don't think you can.
There's
the clam is probably going to be my next big purchase.
In there somewhere.
But you can see I was at again. I got to zoom in.
Enhance.
I don't know how to. I'm an old guy here. Enhance what? Enhance where?
The plus button below your picture.
Is it the guy that hands the cell phone?
No, it's not.
It's
not doing it.
Expand the window.
Expand the window. How's this?
Yeah, that was fine. Go ahead. Okay, just tell us.
All right. So yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's that clamshell. That's for summer. It's a fully screened, and for anybody who goes to these parks and you're dealing with bugs, this is something I highly recommend. There's enough shade on top for a direct sun. You can see the umbrella that I started with, and then I said to my son Matthew, I said, "Tell you what, we bought this thing. Let's use it." And sure enough, I had fun. I stayed in there for almost 2 hours. I run a little fan just to circulate the air. Set up a quick camping table, and once again, there were no bugs. Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right, Dan. That is the adult POTA pack and play. You're absolutely right.
Dan, I see one of those today. There's a Cabela's right down the road from the hotel, and we was walking through looking, and I said, "That's Don's POTA tent right there."
I love it. It's a fantastic thing. Hey, Paul has a question for Matt there. What is NICC? I'm sorry, N1CC.
Yeah, it's N1CC. It's an award that we track in honor of a silent key in POTA. In order to earn the N1CC, you need QSOs on 10 different bands from 10 different parks. So if you start counting, and if you just do 80, 40, 20, 15, 10, right? Obviously, you only get halfway there. So you're going to have to throw in some of the bands that you think nobody uses that it turns out there's lots of QSOs on, or you're going to have to bust out the VHF gear and figure out how to make that work. Or you can be nuts like me and go the other direction and try to figure out how to make QSOs on 2,200 meters.
I envy the guys who are working it on Simplex. Whether you tell a whole bunch of club members, like I say, if your park is near a bunch of your members, hey guys, I'm also going to set up a quick station.
Yeah,
on 146.52 or whatever Simplex channel you want. That's a great way of making. And guess what? Now you may show some interest in them also. That's a great way of being a great ambassador.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. I do this all the time. I got a buddy who he works from home and gets bored sometimes. So if I duck out for a lunchtime activation or something like that, I'll call him up on the repeater and I'll go, "Okay, I'm here, I'm set up, whatever. So let's try Simplex." And we'll try 2 meter Simplex. And if that works, we'll try 70 centimeter Simplex. All right, now let's try 6 meters. And if that works, we'll knock out AM and FM and sideband. And you can have 10 QSOs with the same person, and different modes and bands and rack up things for N1CC and it's
before
all
you
good.
know it.
It's all
contact
good.
Is a contact is a contact, right, Matt?
Well, because again, this is when I'm explaining why POTA gives you credit where contests don't for QSOs on a bunch of different digital modes, for instance. Say, because the only reason we track any of this is to encourage people to try things. That's really the goal of tracking all of this different stuff, is to make it worth your time to try something that you otherwise maybe wouldn't have bothered to try. I'm amazed at how many QSOs I get calling CQ on 146.5.2 after I have gone on the repeater and said, "Hey, I'm about to do this." Right? You have to sort of self-spot a little bit.
Hey, Matt, David says, I would love to see a VHF, UHF Kilo Award. Do you think that's coming down the pike, something like that, or
there's
any interest maybe?
Not that I'm aware of. It's certainly it's an interesting concept, which really could be extended to any band or endorsements on the existing Kilo Award.
Right, 6 meters and higher, whatever.
Well, a kilo, I mean, a kilo on 160 meters would be just as impressive.
That's true too.
Trying to operate portable.
It goes the other way too, right? It goes the other way too. So
yeah.
And one of the things to kind of like piggyback on the VHF stuff with N1CC and whatnot. One of the things I've done is I've taken advantage of the VHF contests that the ARRL does in January, September, and June. I've gone out, and those are when I've done soda activations that are also POTAs, gone up high and gotten on 2 meters, gotten on 220 with a tri-band HT, and and made contacts on FM and 2 meter SSB and everything, just for fun. Because, I know that there's going to be people out there. We got a pretty active group in Western New York for VHF to begin with, but it's a contest week, and it's an opportunity to go out and outside of the bands, whether it's modes like RIDI or everything, there's always contests, and those are good opportunities to go out and try something new for POTA and kind of, two birds with one stone. I'm not in it for the contesting. I'm just in it to try new things, have fun, and kind of learn as I go along. And it's a good opportunity.
Yeah. And that's exactly, people talk about the spirit of POTA. That's it right there. You find a way to make the program something that you enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. I like just checking off the box. I made one of those. I have on my POTA bucket list, I would like to get at least one EME contact from a park.
Right.
Okay.
Matt, I have to.
No particular reason other than to say I did it.
Right.
Matt, we're coming up to almost to the end of the show here, but I do have to ask, because this question comes around all the time, and I would love for the guys who are still hanging in there, please. We got 68, I think. Just hang on for a few more minutes. This is really important. So guys who participate with Winter Field Day or ARRL Field Day, but they're going to activate from inside a park. If they just call CQ Field Day, and if they separately log everybody while they're in that park, that log still counts. It's a totally separate log. Am I saying that correctly?
It doesn't even have to be a separate log. Okay. Why would it have to be a separate log?
Because one you're submitting to the league and one you're submitting.
Well, okay, yeah, you're probably not going to just like carbon copy POTA and ARRL on like an email or something. But other than that, yeah.
But again,
you're going to take one export from your computer or whatever, and sure, yeah. If you were in a park, you POTA'd. So
right. So guys, as you're planning your upcoming June 24th, 25th. ARRL Field Day participation, if you want to activate from inside a park, there you go. Don't feel like you can't do that.
Well, and we really encourage that, because I think from my own personal experience, what I've run into when I've been out there activating, one of the best parts of Parks on the Air is that it has gotten ham radio a lot of visibility with non-hams.
Yes.
And that's one of the stated goals of Field Day. But let's be honest, your average Field Day station, if you've got a club that takes it seriously or something like that, the spectacle that you end up with is not something that Susie walking her dog is going to walk over to and go, "Hey, what are y'all doing?"
Which
you
is
know,
the,
she's
the
gonna.
most common question that I think all of us here, as well as in the chat, have gotten at one time or another. Hey, what are you doing? Who are you talking
Yeah.
to? What's that?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
can
it's
you take-
approachable. It gives you a chance to explain that ham radio has not gone the way of the dodo bird, was not killed off by the cell phone,
Right.
and
Right.
yeah. So Field Day again. That's one of the stated goals of that event.
Right.
Is to raise public awareness of ham radio. And you cannot do that out on the back 40 of your uncle's farm. You got to be out in front of the public if you want to raise public awareness.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, so listen, guys, we're going to start. We're going to tie up the ribbons. I want to thank everybody who's been in the chat, hanging in there. Excellent questions, excellent chat that I was kind of watching, going through here. We hope we answered some of your questions. Got lit the fire. I want Matt. Thank you. Why don't you take it, Matt, first, and for any final things you want to say?
Just, thanks to everybody for joining us. And the documentation for all things POTA is available on the POTA.app site. There's a little 3-bar, the hamburger menu up there in the top left. If you look in the rules and is what it says, because we had a space problem there. But the plaque event details are in there, as are the rest of the POTA rules. But definitely come out and play. If I would leave you with a final thought on that plaque event, it's you don't have to be in contention for a plaque to have a really, really good time, because it is going to be a fantastic event, and there's going to be just POTA peeps everywhere you look.
Matt, we really appreciate you. You're always a great guest when you come on here. Actually, I didn't want to say a guest. You are a great friend of ours.
Yeah,
This is the show of nothing, and yet you continue to support us as well as many other people. You're fully supportive. Every once in a while we see you popping in the chat, and so thank you, and we can't wait to have you on again.
I'll come. Hey, I told you guys, I'll come back. I've been through the assume the position ceremony. You guys inducted me on my.
Oh, I blessed you. Oh yeah, how many questions?
Event played 20 questions. Yeah, so always happy to
you are
to
not
do
a
it.
guest. You are a friend.
Yeah, so far as the POTA stuff goes, I always have to say this. I am just truly blessed to have the opportunity to be one of a handful of sort of faces / mouthpieces for what is now a very large organization, 150, 200 people, I don't even know, who are doing all of the hard work, right? This cheerleader bit, this is the bulk of my contribution. So
thank you. All right. Mike, into MAK, Western New York, rocking it out, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. And POTA ham radio, there's something for everybody, man. Just be happy, ham happier. I got some videos coming out on some new antennas and that 1-watt activation.
Folks, go to his channel, like his channel. You will like this stuff in there. You will like, and him and Scout do something about 15 minutes before our show almost every Tuesday now. So again, watch his stuff.
And we want others to join us as well.
Yes. Absolutely. Shane, while you got it, go ahead, take it, Shane.
Well, Mike, are you done? I got stepped on you. All right. Yeah, as Mike's saying, I've for years now I've been trying to release a video once a week on Tuesdays for the Clubhouse. Mostly portable radio stuff, lots of POTA, a little bit of SOTA, a little bit of everything else. Also, starting next Sunday, I'm going to start releasing a series of interviews, one-on-one interviews I've been doing with people on the service within the hobby, on Aries, Skywarn, that kind of stuff. And again, different people's opinions on how much of a service it really is in this modern day and age. So there's some different opinions, different views. I got a bunch of them lined up. I got a bunch of them done. I think you're going to really enjoy them. So that'd be something a little separate. And then the one more announcement is on the summer Support Your Parks weekend. Me and Shaq and Greg are getting together to host a Midwest get together. If anyone in the Midwest or wants to come up, we're taking over Interstate Park in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin.
Oh my God.
It's 45 minutes from downtown Minneapolis, St. Paul, and there's
you have to bring your own mayonnaise.
Yep,
that park will never be the same. That park will never be.
Well, the good thing is There's an interstate park
In a
on
good
the
way.
Minnesota side of the river too, so there's plenty of places to camp. There's tons of hotels and B&Bs in the area, and we're lining up probably a 13 to 15 park rove on Saturday. We'll go up and down the St. Croix River. So I'm renting a pavilion on Sunday.
Can Shaq and Greg move that fast? We will find out, right? We will find out.
We'll find out. But everybody is welcome. Whatever you're into, we'll have fun. We're gonna take over the place and do POTA like there's no tomorrow.
Cool.
There you go.
Joe Brett, thank you for popping on. We hope you're enjoying your little R&R over there.
Yeah, it's a little different being in Huntsville, and none of the YouTubers are here. None of the big ham crowds are here. I've called out on 5.2 a couple times and got nothing. I called out on repeater, got nothing. It's totally different from August, Hamfest weekend. But
you're not staying at Monsanto.
Yeah, and I'm not at Monsanto. I would have been, but guess what? They stay booked up almost all year round.
Wow.
So we were out on that. I did talk about the park. I have talked to our favorite ranger just a little bit ago before I jumped on the show, and he was saying he's got hams up there almost every day doing POTA. And I'm like, it's a great place to POTA. I would probably make that 30-minute drive if it was only 30 minutes from my house, because it's just a beautiful place. But other than that, we're just I noticed I'm sorry for the chat. I'm usually really active with the chat during the show. Doing this on my phone, I can't see the chat. But when I was coming on, I did see Lou hiking and hamming and hiking.
Yep, he's there.
He was asking how long I was going to be in town. We leave sometime tomorrow. We have to check out tomorrow morning, but then the ladies want to go shopping some more, so I don't know when I'll get to go home. But hit me up on Discord or something. I'll be sitting in a shopping parking lot somewhere, I'm sure, sitting in the car. But
he'll kidnap you and you go play POTA.
Yeah, right.
Put up the ham sticks.
That's right. Other than that, get back home and start working on videos again and get back in the groove.
Good. Well, thank you for coming on board. Your audio looks absolutely fantastic. Hey, Vern, that's okay. You are never late with us, Vern. You know that. Steve, what do you got going on, Andy?
I've got just quite a few videos from this weekend that I'm putting together. Doing one that's going to be the fundraiser for the Blue Star Mothers as well. So I just dropped the Buy Me a Coffee link for that again. Other than that, not a whole lot just yet. I've got a list of things that I'm trying to get through and hoping to start getting videos rolled out, pretty consistent.
Very good.
Oh, crap. Nobody leave yet. No one's allowed to be dismissed from class. I forgot about something, guys.
No. I was gonna have you put the ribbons on it, and I was gonna ask you to quickly.
Don't leave. Hold on. Giveaway. Right. We're a month overdue from this bloody giveaway that we were supposed to do. So next week we're doing the giveaway. As you guys know, we have the Yaesu 710 FT 710. There's more than that, but listen, if you guys, what was it? I believe you go to our website there, Steve?
Yeah, I thought it was. Well, entries are closed.
Okay, entries are closed. So next week, that's right. Because we were supposed to do the draw like a month ago. So entries are closed.
Yeah, April.
You're out of luck. But if you did enter into it, you're in luck. Next week, we're doing the draw. So make sure you come. There might be some surprises. But for sure, we have the Yaesu FT 710. Maybe some goodies to go with it. Maybe some other radios. Who knows? But you got to be here. Be square. Be on the Clubhouse. And yes, Mike says Molson had one job and he waited until now. You know why I waited until now? Because it's for our best viewers, which are the ones who stick around to the end.
Stay in there. Maybe we'll put something out on Twitter as a teaser just to remind everybody.
But the entries are closed. See, we didn't announce it everywhere.
Yes,
we specifically kept it small.
Shane just popped, and Shane Molson did a good job. Shane, don't worry about it.
So next week, Shane, the draw's next week because we're not waiting for you any longer. We're blaming Shane because he's not here to defend himself, right? And listen, if he comments,
Shane keeps us in line.
If he comments, block him from commenting for 10 minutes while we close up the stream. But anyways, next week we wanted to make sure that you guys, those who watch, that's why we announced it mid-show when we did it. That's why we didn't go on other channels. We wanted our viewers to benefit from this, and that's the plan. So, anyways, next week, make sure you tune in. Besides for that, hopefully I get to do some POTA this weekend. We'll see. I saw a couple of POTA spots on the way back from the flea market. And listen, I appreciate our viewers coming on. Mike, having Matt here, having Shane here. Because when Joe Brett is not really, doing his job, we have to have other people step in. So, anyways, if we have to figure out who's I think Mike is the new beer snack for now, and Matt is the new Joe Brett for now, and Shane is the new Shane. So I think that's how we have it. Anyways,
no,
listen.
That's not true. My buddy this side of the radio works very hard behind the scenes. He is responsible for, when you see on Twitter, the graphic JPEG that he does. He works hard at creating something, and everything. And he is like the border collie who is corralling us and chasing the cats and keeping us in line and everything. So he does an incredible job when he's here, and especially when he's not here. Him and just like Beer Snack. Beer Snack is forever working with us. And everything. So
no one blocks Shane
Plasma. No, don't worry, Plasma. So all right, guys, real quickly, I'll say this within 30 seconds and everyone can go to bed or do whatever you all want to do. I will be out there sometime this week. I don't know. I have a whole bunch of family activities going on, but I will be making time on Saturday and or Sunday. I will figure it out. I will be on there. Look for me on the POTA website. Ham alert, guys. Can't say it enough. Ham alert. Put all the call signs in, and if you're trying to chase us down, look forward to seeing everybody next week. And somebody get ready to start waving goodbye to everyone and start saying 7 3s. While Steve.
But wait, there's more.
For a show about nothing, we talked a whole lot of everything tonight, and that was good.